Michigan, this is Barack Obama. I want to talk with you about the Alyssa Slotkin I know. Alyssa is a true public servant who has dedicated her career to serving the American people, no matter who is in the White House. I saw that leadership and character up close. In the Situation Room, Alyssa delivered national security briefings on some of the toughest issues we were dealing with. That's why I sent Alyssa to negotiate on my behalf, because she understood when to compromise and when to stand firm. And it's why I nominated her to be an Assistant Secretary of Defense. Alyssa is the kind of leader we need. Tough, independent, and effective. She'll get the job done. And she will make you proud.
Now, with just 32 days left until Election Day, where the presidential race will determine, of course, the policies of the next 4 years, but also answer a fundamental question about what we become, whether we remain a democracy or not, turn into something very, very different. These efforts by the former president could prove highly consequential in answering that question. We can only assume he'll deliver some of the same messages of hope and enthusiasm with a little side of humor that we saw in his convention address.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on.
We know exactly what he did there. No one does it better. It's where we start the hour. Some of our favorite reporters and friends. Washington bureau chief, White House correspondent for The Griot, April Ryan's back with me at the table. Democratic strategist and professor at Columbia University, MSNBC political analyst Basil Smikle back. Also joining us, the host of the On Brand podcast, Donnie Deutsch is here. So, Donnie, this is a point in the campaign, and I talked to a couple folks in and around the campaign today, where everything is possible, right, in either direction. It's possible to have the energy of sort of her surprise announcement, I guess the kids call it the switch, right, when President Biden stepped aside, and to have the coordinated messaging from President Obama and Michelle Obama and Vice President Harris, and to have the stakes of November's election elevated by surrogates like Liz Cheney, that this is not choosing between Democratic policies and Republican policies. This is choosing about whether or not we remain a democracy. But you have to run the table, right? You have to do all of these things. And President and Michelle Obama are so central to all of that. I think there's excitement and people are getting ready to cover them, but there's also relief that we have them on the trail next week.
And the Republicans don't. The Republicans do not have that kind of... Who are the surrogates? I mean, it is a party of one. It is Donald Trump. Who is it? Is it Lindsey Graham? Is it Mitch McConnell? Is it Matt Gaetz? I mean, they don't have it. It's not there. So the Democrats have on
you can be the pro-democracy. I mean,
I'm a pro-democracy guy, yes, on our side.
Coalition,
They have probably the greatest politician of our lifetime, one of the greatest orators of all time, and someone who bridges a lot of bridges, young to old, people of color to white people. He cuts across, and he does it with such charm, honesty, integrity, likability. You lean in, and I can't wait to see him with her. You know, we saw him at the convention. We didn't see them together. Yeah. And I think the energy of the two of them together is going to be magical. And look, we need him now. We need Michelle. We need everything. It is down to the stretch. And, you know, you talk to Trump people, they're nervous. You talk to Harris people, they're nervous. I mean, it is really anybody's game. And somebody like him could really be an X factor.
Well, everyone's nervous because I think it is really, really close. It's a margin of error election. And I think the idea, what President Obama and Michelle Obama, I have to say privately, we've all been quoting "do something" and sort of nervously waiting for them to do their thing because he's the most talented politician in the country right now. And I, just trying to mentally fact it. I mean, that's full stop. I think anyone can assert that. He also has a track record on the campaign trail. I mean, his final speech, I think it was Sunday night before the midterms in Philly with Josh Shapiro, was a campaign speech for the ages. He's, how many years out of office? He's someone who keeps getting better and better and is as good, in some ways better, on behalf of other candidates than he is and was for himself. Talk about the power of the Obamas.
Well, with Barack Obama, for what you just said, he has this ability to reset the national conversation.
Correct.
And we've seen him do that time and time again, even back to his 07-08 race. When he's attacked, he's like, okay, I'll take that, but let's talk about this now. And then we all start getting into that mindset. He has an incredible ability to do that. And I just for a second will talk about Michelle Obama, because in the clip that you played, that part of the convention, she made a point which was somewhat prescient about where we are with respect to where we are now.
That's why we played
There's going to be a low, right? There's going to be a moment where there's going to be some Republican talking points start to seep in. I see even on my feed more and more anti-Kamala tweets by African Americans, which is concerning. I don't know if Elon's got his finger on the button or whatever. Whatever the case is, I'm starting to see that a lot more. So if I'm seeing it, that means there's a lot seeping in there. So at this very specific moment that Michelle Obama was talking about, ignore it. Her point was, if you don't get that phone call, if the campaign may not knock on your door, understand that she is doing something in a short period of time that most people have 2 years to do. And she's building a campaign and an operation with money and volunteers that is going to get out that vote. And so it's a bit of his oratory ability, but it's also a reassurance to voters that the standard bearer, if you're a Democrat, the standard bearer of your party is out there with you, that one of the most gifted orators of our day, one of the most gifted politicians of our day, is trying to unite the country in the ways that he did many years ago when he first ran. And even if there's a moment where voters, with respect to Trump, may have an amnesia, to your point, Donnie, they don't have the ability to remind people of the past in the way that Barack and Michelle Obama can.
Well, and President Obama is the Trump origin story, right?
That is true.
So
Yeah,
Trump, first of all, no one triggers Trump the way President Obama does.
That's right.
No one.
That's right.
And Trump rises to the particular crevices of the far right on birtherism.
Yeah.
So he's not, President Obama isn't just a foil. It's not a simple surrogate relationship. I mean, Obama triggers Trump in a way that is almost unknowable.
There's something also that happens when Barack Obama comes on. Everything seems okay. They're really, I mean, with Trump, we know there's chaos, and Kamala is an unknown still. I mean, no matter how you slice it. He comes on, and there's a relief factor. You just trust this guy, and you think everything's going to be okay. And there's nobody in the country that has the ability to do that. And as I said earlier, cutting across a lot of segments. And I really think that he is going to be profound in this election. I think it is that close that I think him up in the energy, the kickstart that he can give to the campaign with all that he brings to it, I think could be magical. I'm really looking forward to Pittsburgh.
Well, and April Ryan, he doesn't lull you into everything being okay. He and Michelle Obama tell you what to do if you want things to be okay and if you view being okay as continuing the American experiment.
Yeah, Nicolle, the Obamas, particularly former President Barack Obama, as you all have been regaling, his smile is electric and his confidence is assuring. And one of the reasons why people gravitate to them is because of their realness, their authenticity. Think about this. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have been every person. They've been poor and they've struggled through middle class to upper class now. They are every person. People understand them. And for Barack Obama to get in towards the last 32 days is the best thing that he can do, because it's like reading a book or hearing a speaker or speakers. You remember the first one and the last one. And Barack Obama often just offers a punch that no one else has given. He finds those little areas, those little spaces that need to be filled, and he fills them. So Barack Obama is one of the greatest orators of our time, but Michelle Obama, I think, may have taken that at the DNC, but he is still one of the greatest orators of our time. He's a beloved United States president, be it Democrat or Republican. His numbers are in the top 10, according to historians. And I believe this will help her, particularly in states like Michigan, with Black populations like in Dearborn. It will help in Philadelphia and in places, or Pennsylvania more so, in those suburbs of Philadelphia. I believe Barack Obama and whatever charisma he has will be dynamic for her, and it will help. I believe it's still going to be tight, but I think it will help her in a lot of ways.
We've been talking off camera, and I just want to, I've made this point on TV, but I want to sort of share my understanding that the term undecided voters gets thrown around. And it's not one pile, right? It's not one bucket of people sitting at their table with their spouses or their kids saying, I'm choosing between Kamala and Donald. A handful of those people, maybe 4. A lot of it is Democrats who are undecided about whether or not to support Vice President Kamala Harris. Maybe they don't know her. Maybe they're, for a variety of reasons. And they are Republicans who voted for Trump once, sometimes twice, but didn't like what they saw from him on January 6th. Maybe were drawn to Mike Pence. Maybe Pence was the staple. So the undecided voters come from 3 buckets, right? They're people choosing between the two, but the campaigns are both focused on people who are undecided or disaffected Democrats and disaffected Republicans. I want to show you how President Obama spoke to them.
We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone. We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other.
In a speech that was, again, for the ages, that was one of my favorite sections. And I wonder what you make of that message in these final weeks of the campaign, April.
Yeah, Nicolle, for him to be the man who has used social media to his advantage, he was really the first president who went straight to the American public using social media. And now he's talking about the isolation of it, which is real. Now he wants us to engage and understand. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, people say they don't know her. Well, one of the reasons why they don't know her, well, there are several reasons, and I'm going to throw them at you. One, because she's Black and she's a woman. Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman who ran for president in 1972, said being Black and a woman is a double whammy. And a lot of times people dismiss her as being a Black woman. And let's put that on the table and let it stay there because it is real and authentic. 2, because she is the vice president behind a legend in politics, Joe Biden, who happens to be older, and she could never upstage him. And I go back to what Hillary Clinton said. Imagine what the American